Rich AF by Vivian Wu. Let's talk about it. For those who don't know, who aren't on this side of the social media internet, there is a lovely former Wall Street girlie that goes by Your Rich BFF on Instagram and probably everything else because branding. I've followed her for a couple years because she gives some like good advice and just interesting tidbits to make your money go a little further, figure out if something is worth it or not, ways to negotiate or protect your purchases, that sort of thing. And so Rich AF came out in 2023, which is her first book, I believe. That is a financial savvy guide for the modern era. And I thought it'd be fun to pick it up and let you guys know if I think it's a good book or not. Like what would she have in there? The crazy thing about the financial space, especially when it comes to books and publication, is that so many things are very time sensitive and they don't stay relevant for forever. And if it takes 2 years to publish a book, you kind of want it to be evergreen. The other thing too is like the biggest demographic and market is for beginners. So I went in kind of already knowing that this was probably going to be set for just like the general public, for the person who is new to thinking about their finances and stuff, but I was still hoping it might have some good tidbits for me. I thought it'd be interesting to let you guys know if I think it was worth picking up or not. So off the bat, I'll just kind of give you a general run through of the book. It kind of starts on a very good and important note that I'm glad she talks about, which is the advice a lot of us have been given and the reality of the world being very different. Boomers have given us a lot of advice that just doesn't make sense. It's just not realistic for what we're going through and dealing with in these times. She also mentions that a lot of folks weren't taught about finances or budgeting and all that stuff. And while that's not me, that is a good chunk of people. And so she really kind of sets the groundwork to be like, let go of that shame. Like, it makes perfect sense that you are where you are now. And good for you for like wanting to learn and get better and stuff. And I think that's super important. I hate financial stuff that tries to like put down the reader or shame people into being like, how dare you buy the Starbucks? Or, you know, somehow you would have been a billionaire if you just didn't buy shoes. I don't know. There's a lot of not so nice language and kind of blame game happening in some of these financial spaces. Looking at you, Dave Ramsey. Now, I will say off the bat that it is very much aimed towards millennial, Gen Z, kind of that younger demographic. And while I don't think that's a bad thing, it makes perfect sense for her and her audience and all of that, there are, throughout the book, there is just kind of language that I think is going to date the book that doesn't age the best and something you might not relate to as an older person. I found that it was just below the point where it would get really annoying to me. But like there is words like, or phrases like, you do you, boo. No shade. Sorry, not sorry. Something to keep in mind. Oh, she also brings up some very important tidbits and important points related to minorities and the generational disadvantage. My camera shut off on me. How rude. And now, I don't know if you can hear it, but like one of my neighbors is playing the piano or a video with the piano. So, good times, good times. Ugh. Just trying to make videos for the internet, so hard. So some topics that she discusses for those who are interested. And I think this will give you a good lay of the land of like, if you're already knowledgeable on them or not. Or if a lot of these things, you're like, yeah, I've heard of that. I haven't really done that. Then it might give you a good sense if this is a book to pick up or not. So she discusses the difference between debt and leverage, cash versus credit card versus debit card, general budgeting tips, lifestyle creep, savings, taxes return versus refund, savings, investing, side hustles, money boundaries, banks versus credit union, the snowball method, etc., etc. I will say that some of the things that she talks about that I think is really good, because some books don't mention it altogether, is she does talk about crypto. She's younger, so she doesn't have like an old person bias to it, and at the same, like, I think she has a realistic perspective on it, is what I'm saying. And then she does talk about MLMs, which most of the finance books I've picked up don't even mention, but it is such a prevalent scam, and it especially impacts women, stay-at-home moms, and when the economy gets bad, I think they get even more malicious, because it just seems like a solution and a way out for folks to get a little bit more income while staying at home, and it is not. It is very harmful. I did like the anecdotes that she mentions. I wish she had more of them. I thought it was so fascinating hearing examples from her life and her lived experience, and I think those are things that like land deeper than just like a tip or trick, and are something that even if you can't exactly use it today, I think it's evergreen in the sense of like it helps you really visualize or understand the concept or the overarching topic she's, you know, wanting you to consider. So she talks about the time she worked at JP Morgan, and there's like a dress code there, and she could only afford the cheap pantyhose that always ripped, and kind of this horrible position that people are put in when they don't have a certain level of income and resources, which is like, obviously the better long-term solution is to pay a little bit more, invest a little bit more in the higher pantyhose, because they won't rip and tear as easily, and you'll have them for a longer period of time. You'll get more value, more wears out of it. But if you can't afford it right now, you literally don't have the money in the bank, then you end up in this vicious cycle of buying cheap pantyhose that consistently need to get replaced. And it is a well-felt experience, I think, for a lot of us, that is ignored and not articulated in a lot of finance books. I don't know, maybe out of ignorance, maybe they just haven't been there, but I think it's super relatable and important that she brings that up. And then also she talks about having good mentors when she was on Wall Street and having a bad racist supervisor on Wall Street. Kind of her point related to that is being realistic of the environment and the position you're in, and if you're able to build a good rapport with your higher ups and have them be able to advocate for you, because they're going to be in spaces you're not, and they're going to be the first to potentially see opportunities where you can grow, or you can maybe like get on the next rung, or to recommend you for a job that pays a little bit more, or to get a raise or whatever. But if you're in an environment where the supervisor is not only not in your favor, but is actively working against you, that really limits your power and your ability to get ahead in that space. And everything's going to be so much harder, and you're going to be on your own. You're not going to have that ally, and it's going to be a detriment to your own ability to do things. And so I hadn't ever seen someone talk about that, but it makes just perfect sense, which is that you want to position yourself well. And sometimes you're in a job that you're in, but if you are seeing the signs on the wall of like, okay, I don't have allies here. Like, these people are not supportive of me. They might actively be against me. I need to keep my eyeballs open and be actively working to get into the spaces and places where I am set up for success. So I think that was a really good point to make, especially for talking to a younger audience of like, hey, it could be really easy to think, oh, this is just what life is. This is what work is. It's meant to be this hard. It is what it is. It's probably going to be the same anywhere I go. No, don't put up with that. Be mindful of where you're spending your time. The other thing I really took out of this was her talking about negotiating for raises and promotions. It's something that I had maybe heard a variation of this advice in the past, but I hadn't had it broken down in such a way where I'm like, okay, that makes sense. It's not just like a go-getter attitude. It is just being savvy about the reality of the world, and you're not being annoying. It's just being honest and transparent, which is more along the line of my values and what I'm more willing to implement than just an ambitious, like, okay, boss, what can I do? How can I be the #1 boy in this establishment? I don't care about that. But so she mentions like having those conversations early on, like talking to your supervisor, your manager, whoever, on a regular basis of like what your aims are, what are you hoping to do, how you're currently creating value, how asking how you can do more, or not even more, but like in what ways are they looking to grow, or like what gaps are they wanting filled, being proactive with those conversations so that you are getting the important like details and information that you need ahead of time to make a strong case for yourself for a raise down the line, and making sure you're in alignment of what they're looking for to be the person that does get the raise. And it lets them know, hey, this is a person who wants to get ahead. They are being smart and like wanting to position themselves well for a raise, but also maybe for a promotion, maybe for a higher job down the line. They are wanting to be a good employee and collaborate here. So that means you're front of mind for new projects or potential new things, versus you just wait till the end of the year when pretty much everyone's asking or hoping for a raise, and you don't really stand out then, and you don't have as much to talk about or to say to promote yourself. And if you've fallen short, you don't have any time to bridge that gap. If you had asked in June about it and they're like, hey, we really look for like numbers or quota of this, we would love to see X, Y, and Z, then you can do X, Y, and Z, and then like be boom, here we go. Versus like you're just kind of stuck with where you're at in December. And yeah, everyone wants more money. That's not a good argument to make to your boss. That was a really good takeaway, and probably the biggest thing I took from it. And that's getting into who's this for. And so this is for the beginner. I think it's a great book to pick up if you are younger than me. I'm 31. I've read many financial books. I also just grew up with parents that really drilled in financial literacy, so overspending is not really a thing for me. I kind of know the basics already, but for someone who's just getting started or getting their feet wet for whatever reason, this is a good one to pick up. It doesn't dump a bunch of shame on you. It breaks down important concepts. It's a good, well-rounded start to your journey. I'm interested to see about her new book coming out this year called Well Endowed, because that sounds like it's going to be more of an like intermediary, a little bit more advanced book of finance, and is going to cover some topics where it's like, okay, you have the solid foundation, your 401k or this, that, and the other, but here's how you really max it out. Here's how the tips and tricks to save for kids in their college and legacy and what have you. On the same token, just from the little that she's mentioned, from the summary I've read of it, it also includes a lot of stuff that's still not relevant to me. I don't plan on ever having kids. I don't really care about a legacy. I'm trying to survive, make money, and figure stuff out for when I'm alive. I really worry about after I'm not here. I'm not there yet. But I don't know. I'm curious. I'm curious about it. Let me know if you would like me to pick up that book and review it for you. And I might do it, I might not. Anyway, like and subscribe if you would like some more. Hopefully this is helpful so you know if this is the book for you or not. And I will see you next time.